Hi friends, so let's start with today's analysis. I think another splendid day for the Indian markets. Not only the broader markets did very well today. I think Nifty Bank again led the markets, and we saw a ferocious rally in Nifty Bank. I think it has been now almost consecutive 4 days that we are seeing that that ferocious rally in Nifty Bank, leading the overall indexes, leading the overall sentiment of the markets. So we've been always telling that Nifty Bank is the index to be looked out for. This is the index which will actually lead the markets, and probably when the sector rotation will happen, we'll see. But as of now, this index is probably leading the index, the overall sentiment and everything. As usual, we'll start with the global market. So yesterday we had a very tepid session from the US markets. At one point of time, Dow was around up by around 250 points or so, but ultimately we closed 150 points down. Bond yields were pretty stable. It's hovering around 4.33 kind of levels now. And the dollar index, the talk of the town, is again below $100. So it's now around fourth or fifth day that is comfortably trading below $100, which means that dollar index is probably made up its mind now that it will remain in double digits. It does not want to again go back to three digits. But we have to wait and see because a lot of things are happening globally. So these things can happen or change very fast. But let's see how it goes going forward. So yesterday, so this is what the session of US market was. Similar session was there for S&P and Nasdaq as well, and also for the other indexes in US. What it so there were two three news again which were coming again and again during our market hours. So one news came that US is trying to slap 245% tariffs on China. Yes, your hearing is right. You are actually hearing it correctly. It is 245%. So this was the kind of tariff which US wanted to impose on China. This was the news coming from here and there. There was no confirmed channel or any confirmed news channel who was publishing this news, but yes, silently it was coming from here and there. So that was one news which was flashing, although the markets didn't react to it at all. Neither our indices, neither US markets, nor any other index was reacting to it, but this was the news. It was hovering around. So I don't know. Probably it was a small gimmick from US or I don't know. Another news came that China is ready to talk to US on the trade deal. I think yesterday Donald Trump told that he's also ready to talk to China, provided China initiates the talk first. Today again, news came from China. They're ready to talk to US, provided they treat us respectfully and in a nice manner. Then we're also ready to talk to US. So I think this is where the world was looking for. This is where the Trump actually wanted to always reach. He wanted to put a very high number of tariffs initially, and to bend down the nations to his knees and to his demands. That is what he is now going to in the second lap of his strategy, we can say. First strategy, he has levied some huge tariffs which he called as gentle tariffs. But now in the second round, he started negotiating with the people. So small countries are anyways approaching US and they are trying to make a deal with US. Now China also is approaching towards making a deal towards 2 years to US. So if that happens, it will be a good positive for the world market. It will be positive for a lot of other things. So crude will be again started running upwards. You will see some kind of profit booking in gold. You might see dollar index slightly going up, bond yield slightly coming down. So if this happens, it will be a huge impact on the markets and other commodities. Overall, whatever parameters we track, let's see what it happens today night. It will be an important day what happens and what announcements come from US office. But this is what was going on, and because of that, actually we saw a sharp rally in Nifty and Bank Nifty towards the end, let's say 1 hour or so, when this news started coming from Bloomberg. This news was coming from Bloomberg. So once this news was flashed and it was out, I think we had a sharp recovery of we were around 30 points down in Nifty. From there, we actually went around 120 points up at one point of time. And Nifty Bank also, we were around 400 points up, but we went to around 760, 780 points up at one point of time. But we closed very good in both the indexes. I think this is what both the leaders are looking for now. I think both the countries cannot afford this kind of tariffs. The way their population is, the way their the debt levels are, the way the economic situation is, both of the countries cannot afford these things to happen, and that is why I think both countries want to actually come back to a solution. Today morning, a lot of data came from China, so the GDP growth came to around 5.4%. The expectation was around 5.1% or greater than that. There was export rise of 12%, which means that major exports have happened in March, which means that a lot of traders have actually forefronted all of their exports into the US or other countries. So before the tariff announcement was there on 2nd April, that probably came in there. Retail sale numbers were also up for China, but all these numbers are past. Maybe some kind of front loading the trades have happened in China. That is why the numbers are coming this way. We cannot trust these numbers at all. Uh, Gold is giving you, I don't know what is happening to gold. I mean, it's giving a phenomenal opportunity. It is giving you a phenomenal return. It's just rising above and above. Today we touched around 95,000 rupees. I mean, unbelievable. For 10 gram of gold, you spend now 95,000 rupees. Three or four things which are helping gold go up. One is dollar index is very down. It's below 100, which actually supports gold. So people who actually sell dollars, they generally buy gold. So that is one kind of safe haven people are looking for. Second, the tariff announcements and the kind of fighting with the major economies of US and China. People want to shift to gold, which is again a safer haven. Third reason is that if the world growth comes down, then again you see the gold people shifting towards gold. Fourth reason is I spoke yesterday about printing in China and US. So if money printing happens in China and US both because of the downturn and because of the lack of economic activity and also to service their debt. So if money printing happens again, the dollar goes down and then again it becomes a positive for the gold. So that is fourth reason. Fifth reason is that probably US markets are now factoring in around 3 to 4 rate cuts, three minimum, maximum 4 rate cuts. So if rate cuts happen in US, it means bond yields will come down, and again it is again positive for gold. So there are four reasons due to which gold has been going around, and fifth reason you can always say that the geopolitical tensions are still hovering around the world. So 4 or 5 reasons, but I think majorly it was due to this tariffs. So if some kind of solution comes between US and China, you will see some kind of cool off in the gold. Otherwise, gold will keep on rising. That's how it is placed. And because eventually people will see that a lot of printing of money would have to happen, and that is why the price of gold has to increase. Because central bank then will require gold to keep it as a reserve, and that will actually push the prices of gold and silver both. So if a solution is not met between US and China, probably gold will continue to rise. But if you see some kind of solution between US and China and things start normalizing, they will never come to zero now. Things can never go and U-turn and become the previous level now. It will never reach there now. Otherwise, US would not have done so much of pain. It will never reach that equilibrium now. Equilibrium to naya hi banega. You will see a new equilibrium now. You cannot go back to the previous balance. That days are gone now. So that is the case. That happens, then probably you'll see some kind of profit booking in gold. Not a major chance of going down, but this some kind of profit booking can happen, and we can again see gold around 90,000 rupees or so. That's what I would think for. But solution has to come between US and China because both the countries are getting very desperate now. Why US? So again, US was getting desperate because of 4 or 5 reasons. One is their stock markets are going down. Their inflation will go up because of the tariffs and all. Because they import a lot of products from China, and if they come very costly because US is imposed, let's say China has imposed 125% tariff to US, and there are a lot of products which are not even made in US. So that will keep on increasing their inflation numbers. So that again a problem. Third is inflation goes high, then you can't expect Fed to cut rates. So then again, the economic activity will come to a slowdown, or probably will enter into a recession. That is again a problem. Fourth problem is that they have to again start printing of money. So again, that kind of deficit which they actually wanted to curb. So again, that kind of extra debt, which I think the main mantra of Trump was to reduce that fiscal deficit, to reduce that debt, and to make America great again. So that becomes a problem once again if you start printing money. Fifth and foremost reason, which was the bonds, which were becoming problem for US. So again, the bond yields have touched 4.3, 4.4%, and they have to do a lot of refinancing of their bonds and all. So if they do so high rates at 4.4 or 4.5%, then I think the lot of money of US has to go into servicing of debt, which again is a big problem for US. And sixth and foremost reason, which I think is causing this tariff war to come to some kind of a solution, Remember, China has stopped exporting those precious metals to US. Now, those precious metals will start if you start, uh, uh, if you start blocking those elements to US, then there many industries get hit because of that. So space, automobiles, their chip manufacturing, their AI technology, and many other industries get a hit if you start, if China restricts those exports of those precious metals. That is the biggest problem for US. See, one problem was the electronic goods, chips, and all those things, which US solved to some extent, wherein they exempted China out of this tariff. So that problem was solved. But these precious metals are also very important element in these industries, automobile space and other things, which is very, very essential input or let's say ingredient for making this work. So that was again becoming a problem for US. So US does not want things to go forward now any further. So and also he has a lot of pressure from a lot of CEOs and a lot of corporates because they are a lot of every day there are 5 or 6 lawsuits getting filed against Trump. So, for example, people are saying that the kind of rule that is imposed, emergency, economic emergency. Now, people are of US are saying that how can trade deficit be a national economic emergency? And because of that, you are putting tariffs on tariffs on tariffs. And the industries are struggling, the businesses are struggling. So a lot of people have filed a lawsuit against US. So he will not be able to tackle. So see, America is a democracy. It's not China. It's not a socialist country. It's not a country like China, wherein communist country where you do whatever you want and the public will not see you anything. We're in a democratic world. US is a second largest democracy in terms of people. You can't allow these things to happen. People have full power to go to courts and take restrictions and to take stays on these orders. So US is facing those problems as well. So collectively, these problems coming together, US is facing a problem, and that is why he wants to strike a deal with China. China is facing a problem because their ports are becoming empty now. Their containers are getting empty now. Problem is, whatever exports have happened and they have fronted the exports, till that point is fine. But now everything has come to a standstill, and if that continues for 1 or 2 months, China can afford it. It's again a $19 trillion economy, which is again struggling. Don't forget, China is struggling for its growth. Let's not forget that the property market has lost value of $19 trillion. They are anyways facing a problem in terms of growth. And apart from that, if you see those kind of tariffs, and if you see the trade going, it will be a trade shift. Like I said, 55-60% products of China, which were lucrative to US in terms of price, will now become competitive from India to US. Of course, it will be costlier than China, but of course, problem is, or let's say, problem for China is they can't export the material. The problem for US is they will get expensive, but anyways, they'll get it. That was again becoming a problem for China as well. So both the countries have realized that this cannot go on. And I think what US is demanding is not wrong. See, they have been fueling the growth of many countries by taking the deficits on their account, by a lot of printing of money, a lot of deficit in terms of their deficits, current account deficits. And that cannot happen. US cannot fuel the growth of the world for continuously because they're facing debt now. They are facing jobs problem in terms of their manufacturing growth. They have seen now a lot of dependency on other countries, which they want to reduce. And it's high time now. I think the right step has been taken by US. The direction could have been better, or the steps could have been better. It's a matter of debate. I don't know. He's a businessman. He wants to take things in this way only. He wants to first push people towards the limit and then come on table for negotiation. This is what he believes in, and he's doing accordingly. Good or bad, time will tell. But I think, in my view, China-US deal is not far away. We will see some kind of negotiations and some kind of an initial deal happening with China. See, it will not be a straightforward solution. China will not be bucking too hard, too much. At the same time, US is also not in a position to push China very hard. So it will be a delicate balance to start with. Probably you will see first round of negotiations happening with US and China. This is how things will proceed. And meanwhile, you see some kind of stays on tariffs on China. This is what we can hope for. And I think this is what is going to happen. On tariff front, India and US have announced that they have actually formulated the trade, index we can say, or let's say some kind of conditions for the first round has been met. So India has become the first country which has now or announced, let's say India and US together have announced that they have agreed or finalized their first level of agreement for the tariffs. And they're expecting by December end they should be able to do a bilateral trade agreement finalization and incorporation, which is again a good news. So a country like Europe, which is struggling very hard, they are the biggest, one of the biggest partners to US. Trump is not giving them any hint whatsoever to come to table. See, he's hinting India, and he has already sent his officials India very fast. India also did a first come first basis. We also, Mr. Modi went there, and Piyush Goyal went there, but their officials are sitting here for a long time and they're finalizing the deal. So India and US is inclined towards making a deal with India very fast. That is one good thing happening, but that kind of signal is not going to Europe at all, and that is why Europe probably is going to struggle for some more time. Instead of that, China, they're giving much more signaling in terms of they want to have a talks, they want to come to a solution, etc. All those things. So probably I think uh, before Europe and US strike a deal, I will not be surprised if China and US strike a deal first. I think US is trying to corner out Europe to a certain extent. See, what they are seeing now is that it is more advantageous to remain inclined towards Russia rather than Europe in long term basis. Europe, they feel, is absolutely finished. Don't forget, last 25 years, Europe is growing at a mere 1% GDP growth. For last 25 years, average is just 1%. So it is one third of US. So let's say it's half of US in terms of growth rate on China or India में compare नहीं कर सकते. So US is so I think probably that kind of arrangement is happening. It's very hard to believe. Imagine after the Cold War of 1993, where the Soviet Union was broken down into many countries, which actually was done by US. Can't imagine that Russia and US are coming together and they are trying to form some kind of a coalition or some kind of a allies. It's very difficult to say. So US already announced that they have four allies in terms of from where they want to strike a deal. That four allies are Japan, South Korea, uh, India, and one more countries. The four countries which they want to, which they're calling now as an ally, and they want to strike the deal first. So in that name, India is also there. That's again a beautiful part, and that is why you'll see Indian money, FIS money coming into India. Yesterday also, I told you, seeing the screen is looking like that there's a buying from cash buying from the FIs. Today also, I'm not surprised if you see some cash buying, although they have sold IT a lot, but still, I will say overall, I think we'll see some buying in cash from FIs today again. Of course, index and stock futures they have been buyers for last 3 4 days, and that is continuing. The kind of trend which I'm seeing for Bank Nifty, I think it will be uh, not difficult to say that we should cross the all-time high of Bank Nifty in this month itself. And for a longer term, anyways, we're looking for 6,000 on the Bank Nifty. So also I told. For Bank Nifty, we're looking at a target of around 6,000 for this calendar year. And I think it should happen very easily. I have no doubts that we will reach it there because today also I was hearing some news and I was seeing some early updates in terms of results and all. The credit growth, which actually dropped to 11% for last quarter, it's already up to around 13%. And the average has been 15 to 17% kind of a credit growth which happens in India. But we will reach there. So Q3 has been better than Q2. Now Q4 is looking better than uh, Q3. So probably the graph is upwards. And yesterday we saw the beautiful numbers of inflation, which is again giving comfort to many of the people in terms of the spending power and all those things. Monsoon again looking good. The only problem which will remain for the credit growth is the private capex, which will still be delayed because uh, China has started dumping a lot of material now. That India has to be very careful. If dumping of China continues, then I don't think our industrialists will have comfort to do a big capex. That will be a problem. So they can do a capex in the areas where China is not dominant or China is not into those areas. Those capexes we might see and we will see those happening. But apart from those big capexes, we'll not see big capex happening in India because of the China's intervention and the way China will be dumping their product because they don't have any countries now. And Jinping is on a tour of convincing. I think he's gone to Vietnam. He wants to convince that let's join together our hands in the fight against US and all those things. So two groups are getting formed. One with the US allies, second with China allies, third neutral, which are nowhere. These are three departments or three way the world will now start, behaving. Yesterday also, I told you that the world will become more liquid now. will not have very strong allies now. More and more countries will start doing domestic interventions, and they want to make a lot of products in house. They would like to stop their dependencies on other countries and want to become more and more self-driven, self-regulated kind of a thing. So South Korea, I think some 7 days before announced $2 billion of some kind of stimulus, or let's say help to the exporters. Yesterday again they were announced around 12, 15, 12 to $13 billion again of some stimulus to the exporters, because the last one was for auto industry. This was for the semiconductor industry, because semiconductor industry is also facing a problem in terms of tariffs. They're now not they're now not competitive in terms of, after the tariffs they become non-competent. That's hitting the industry. So they've announced around 12 $13 billion of stimulus, or let's say help to these, and these things will happen continuously to keep the exports going, to keep the jobs intact, to keep the business intact. The governments will create this money pool to help these people. That is where the problem is. That thing you start artificially uh, making the industries competitive. That's the worst form of globalization and any businesses. But this is how it is. This is how things are going. So we can't help it. Coming to our markets, I think we rejoiced with those two news yesterday which came out of the market as one was the monsoon prediction, which was monsoon prediction to around 1.05%, and second was the CPI inflation, which came to around 3.43%, as against I think 3.61% for the February month. So beautiful number, which is giving confidence now that most of the economists are saying that we're expecting two more rate cuts to happen in this financial year now, or in this calendar year, which is again a good bonus. So cost of fund will keep on coming down. More and more credit can happen. More and more expansion can happen, and things again becoming good and looking rosy for India. Now, other indexes. So Nifty IT remains a problem. Yesterday there was a news that a $5 billion hit is getting levied on Nvidia due to the semiconductor agreement, due to the tariffs and all. So that is why, because after market hours, Nvidia was trading around 8 to 9% lower. That is why you were seeing that Nasdaq futures down. Also, Dow futures at one point of time was around 400 points down. That was because of this news which was flashing here and there, 45% tariff of China. I don't think that will ever happen because it has no meaning now. Beyond 145%, any kind of tariff that is put on China has no meaning now. Chinese imports, or let's say exports to US, have become absolutely defunct. They have no meaning now. Beyond that, whatever you put tariff has no meaning. So, but after that news, when China told that it was going to have a talk with US, Dow futures recovered very smartly. In fact, at one point of time, they were trading green also. Although when we are closing the markets, we're still in red, but very slight red. I think around 40, 50 points down in terms of Dow, and 250, 260 points down on the Nasdaq. Today's session will be very, very, very important for US. Today's news events will be very important for the markets. अगर तो ये वॉर को रुकना है तो ये आज ही रुकना है. If the tariff war have to stop between US and China, it has to stop today. The stage is set. Both the countries are telling that we want to have a deal, we want to come to discussion. If anything happens bad today on China and US, it will become very difficult for both the countries to come at a deal with saving their face. See, ultimately, both have to save their face also. Both are big countries. One is number one, one is number two. Nobody can look stupid. Nobody can look that they will feel defeated. Both have to clock a deal which will look as a win-win for both. Of course, it will always be a lose to China because they have to reduce their deficit. So it will always be a plus to US, but that's still they have to save their face. So today's day will be very critical. If we have some kind of solution, then we'll see again, I think 150, 200 points gap up on Nifty. Else, we'll see around 150, 200 points gap down on Nifty. So it will happen either way today. So we are a huge thing for tomorrow. Let's see how it goes and how it happens. We just hope that the deal happens. It will not happen fast, but at least both the countries start moving on that road. They start moving, or let's say traveling together on that road. That is what we hope for. And in my feeling is it should happen because, as I told in the starting of the video also, why both the countries are desperate to strike a deal now? It's not that both the countries have realized that it is very difficult to work now or to proceed. So let's say to survive in this kind of environments if we have this kind of tariff wars. And ultimately, what will happen? So, US will suffer, China will suffer, somebody else will take the pie, somebody else will take the benefit. ऐसा तो है नहीं कि nobody else will take the benefit. So, country like India, country like Brazil, country like Vietnam, all these countries will start having advantage. Ultimately, US and China will lose, and some other will gain. कि overall तो आपका ट्रेड उतना होना ही है ना, ओवरऑल ट्रेड तो कम होना नहीं है. इट्स लाइक हु टेक्स व्हाट पाई. That's what the difference is. So according to me, I think that solution should happen fast. And if that solution happens, then two indexes, or let's say three indexes, which will have a bigger impact is IT, metals, and to some extent pharma. Pharma, because some kind of sword, some kind of talwar is still hovering on the neck that tariffs may be announced for pharma. I'm in fact, even with the US deal with China, uh, these tariffs will still come in. These tariffs will still happen, but so pharma will probably will rejoice. Second will be of course your IT, which is extremely subdued. मतलब उसकी तो ban बच गई. मतलब the way IT industry has been treated, it's like there's no tomorrow. Technology has ended. Now the stocks, now the companies are finished. That kind of treatment this company have been given. So Nifty IT will be another domain where you will see some kind of big moves in Nifty IT. And don't forget that a lot of shorts are there in Nifty IT. So if anything good happens in America today, then you will see some kind of good short covering happening for tomorrow. I think some short covering has happened today also. The way the IT index was down by around 0.7, 0.8% at one point of time. From there, actually, it came green. So I think some short covering has happened today also in the last 1.5 hour for Nifty IT. Metals also, I felt that some kind of short covering has happened. So we have to wait and watch. These are two, three indexes which are the most subdued and most bit of indexes. This will get some remorse. This will get some relief, and that is how probably you will see those kind of indexes going forward. Apart from that, I think Nifty Bank is looking splendid. The way it is going, we have been doing the predictions. It is moving according to that. Nifty also, we are telling that it should go 23,800 as the first target. It will be hitting third time 23,800. And if things start looking somewhat better between US and China, we might see 24,500 also very soon on Nifty. Let's see. We'll go step by step. If anything, if any change happens, probably I'll be there to tell you and make the post correction. So with this, I'll end my video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.